If you know me, then you know that I'm a fan of Kingdom Hearts, with my favorite one being Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, I know there's a big discussion surrounding Kingdom Hearts 3 and how a lot of people were disappointed by it, which, you know, is fine if you felt that way. But over the years, I felt as though Kingdom Hearts 3 has been unfairly criticized by a lot of people, making arguments that can also be applied to other Kingdom Hearts games, but everyone is just being mad at Kingdom Hearts 3. Obviously, Kingdom Hearts 3 isn't a perfect game. I don't think any of the games are perfect, and there are valid criticisms against the game. Heck, I even made an entire video explaining why I like the game and was also being fair and criticized some of the things about it as well. JebZone's video is probably one of the most well-known Kingdom Hearts 3 reviews, and I obviously have to clarify that I don't have anything against the guy. I don't really watch his content, I just so happened to stumble upon his video, and while I agree with some of the points that he makes, there are some points I think are disingenuous and misrepresenting some of the things that happen in the game. Either he doesn't remember some of the things that happened throughout the series, or he wasn't paying close attention, and I respectfully disagree with some of the points against the game, and I wanted to respond to some of them. Heck, pretty much the Kingdom Hearts 3 video I made was a bit of a jab at his video if I'm being honest, but now I want to directly talk about the points he made that I disagree with. I'm not going to talk about every point that he makes, since some of them are just opinion based, and obviously I have to clarify that this video isn't made to hate on him or anything. I'm just responding to some of the points I disagreed in his video. So one of the issues I had was at the beginning of his review.
I do suppose the first order of business would be to convey my intentions. What I wish to do is look at Kingdom Hearts 3 and directly compare it to Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Actually, hold on, that is base Kingdom Hearts 3, no remind, versus the final mix versions of 1 and 2.
So here he's saying he wants to compare base Kingdom Hearts 3 with Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 final mix instead of comparing them to Remind, and says it's a fair comparison to do so because they're decades old and they have been the definitive versions for many years now. I think this is pretty unfair. Now, the reason I think this is an unfair comparison is because Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 final mix are updated versions of the base games, which means they have been improved upon and added new things. Kingdom Hearts 3 has been updated and improved upon throughout 2019 and 2020 and added the Remind DLC. It doesn't matter how old the final mix versions are because they are both still updated versions of the original game that you had to buy again when they first came out. And Kingdom Hearts 3 has also been getting feedback and they've updated and improved on the game multiple times, which means the version we have currently is the definitive version of the game. The original versions of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 had issues as well, and they've updated the games with the final mix versions. This is especially unfair because he put out this video in 2022, and by that point Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind has been the definitive version and he played the game on PC, which has Remind included. The point of updating your games is to listen to player feedback and improve on the game. Remind is no different to the final mix versions, but he feels that he shouldn't be awarding any points for that, which I think is a bit bizarre. And I think the reason for that is because he's unaware of the updates the game had, because he mentions Remind being its own thing, even though Kingdom Hearts 3 has been updated multiple times and added new things that didn't require Remind, and he probably didn't want to replay the game. Remind had new content in it, so of course it was gonna be paid DLC when it released on PS4 and Xbox One, but the updates were still free. All future re-releases included Remind, which means it's the definitive version. Now, I think it would have been fair to compare base Kingdom Hearts 3 with the final mix versions when the game first came out back in 2019, but in 2020, especially when he's playing the PC version, I don't think so. And this comes to my next problem. Despite him saying that he's gonna compare base Kingdom Hearts 3 to the final mix versions, throughout the whole video, he never did any proper comparisons using 1 and 2 final mix. Every point he makes in the video are mechanics that are also in the base games. He doesn't mention the final mix adding new abilities, he doesn't mention the rebalancing they did in the final mix version or anything. So this whole thing of him comparing 3 with 1 of them and 2 of them is completely honestly worthless, cause the only thing he mentions is that final mix included new boss fights, which Remind did as well. Heck, I mean, one criticism that could have benefited him was while Remind included all these new abilities that are really good, you are only able to use them once you've beaten the game your first time, unlike the final mix versions that made you unlock them throughout the game. But no, he doesn't talk about the new abilities Kingdom Hearts 3 added because I don't think he replayed the game after playing it once on PC, which, you know, I understand. He wanted to revisit this game on PC, but the fact Remind added new abilities is still a point. Okay, with that out of the way, on to the next point.
So now I'm done with the tutorial, and now we're oh, okay, we're here in front of Master Yen Sid then. I don't need to wake up from dreams anymore, I guess. Yeah, the game just kinda starts where 0.2 left off, with Yen Sid telling Sora that he failed his Mark of Mastery exam, and that now he needs to go get the power of waking through another means. How exactly do you do that? Yen Sid basically just says, I don't fucking know, dude. Go ask Hercules. So off you go. It's time to head on over to Olympus.
Okay, you're making it look worse than it really is here. Yen Sid didn't tell Sora, I don't know, go ask Hercules. Yen Sid suggested he should go pay Hercules a visit because he also lost all of his strength and regained them back in Kingdom Hearts 2. So it makes sense why he would go ask Hercules about it. He needs to unlock the power of waking, but Sora also has to regain his strength back after losing it in the last game.
How are we supposed to get there now?
What? I thought you knew.
Looks like all the old highways are closed.
The old highway... Wait, what? What do you mean the old highways are closed? We just opened them in Kingdom Hearts 2. That was kind of one of the main things you would do in these worlds. As they later establish, it's not really been too long at all since then, and it also apparently hasn't come up before now, so why did this happen? Never explained, but I can tell you why. It's so Sora can solve the conflict entirely by believing. Okay then. Anyway, on with the game.
In Kingdom Hearts 2, the worlds themselves created special highways for travel. After defeating Xemnas, they have closed because leaving them open would disrupt the world order, and you're making Sora believing sounding worse than it is. Goofy brings up the phrase, "May your heart be your guiding key," which made Sora learn that he needs to trust his heart to guide him through the help of his Keyblade, which is something Keyblade wielders can do, which he was previously not able to do and needed special items to travel through other worlds. Why is believing in your heart suddenly a bad thing when believing in your heart has always been a theme in Kingdom Hearts ever since the first game? Sora doesn't simply solve his conflicts by believing. The Keyblade is guiding him to these worlds throughout the game, and he needs to discover the things there and learn to believe in himself.
So, you know, you land in Olympus and everything's all shiny and new. You're finally exploring the whole land instead of a Colosseum or underworld. It's pretty impressive. But something just isn't right about all this. In Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, when you begin the game, you wake up in an original world. In both cases, the home world of your player character. What this does is immediately start you off with an iconic location you'll always associate with that experience. Sure, what you're doing for most of it is just average busy work, and sure, Twilight Town is kind of infamous for being a 3-hour-long prologue, but that's entirely the point. They're designed in this mundane fashion to make it hit harder when such a comfortable lifestyle is completely shattered. So yeah, my point is that Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't have any of this. Look, I know. It's the conclusion to the Darkseeker saga. This clearly isn't the title to have a humble beginnings kind of world. I get it, but nonetheless, it's kind of weak to just be like, well, we're in Olympus now, looking for something, I guess. Man, if only we had an engaging way of setting the stage for the conflict that is about to ensue, something that is straight to the point and shows us that this is no time to be fooling around. So anyway, let's go fool around in Disney worlds.
Okay, this is a complaint I've heard a few times, that Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't begin in an original world, but I think this is an odd complaint to make. I mean, yeah, I get if you're a bit upset that we didn't start off in a long prologue, but that's more so your opinion and not really an issue with the actual game. Just because Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't do the thing these two previous games did, doesn't automatically mean it's a bad thing. The reason Olympus works well as a first world is because Sora is already familiar with the world. It's one of the worlds that appeared in almost every game, so the player is also familiar with it. It makes sense for Sora to visit Hercules because he's a good friend of his and he went through the same thing Sora is currently going through. Not only does Kingdom Hearts 3 directly continue from where 0.2 left off, but the entire universe is at stake right now, so we don't have any time to chill around in an original world. A lot of games put you right into the action. Again, just because Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 did it, does not mean Kingdom Hearts 3 has to do the same thing. The game is a direct continuation from 0.2. It continues the story from where we left off. You can't suddenly put the character in an original world like in the other two games, because it wouldn't work with what they set up previously. We're not fooling around in Disney World. Now, in this section he's complaining about the attraction flow, which, yes, I agree, they're not very good at all, and he's upset that you can't turn them off unless you play on critical, which gives you the option to turn off attractions. And he did say that he's not doing that because he wants to play the game on normal difficulty, which is fine. However, he does not mention that you can turn off attraction flows using the Pro Codes menu, which is another thing Remind included. Now, to be fair, he likely did not know that this was possible. I think it's fair for me to mention that because the game does give you the option, especially since he wants to avoid using them, and he is playing the PC version with Remind already included. After that, he makes a point about how the cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts 3 don't have great pacing because the characters pause their lines in between each sentence. Okay, fine, if you feel that way. I mean, me personally, I didn't really have an issue, but that's not my issue. My issue is the example he uses afterwards.
Cutscenes should usually feel like a reward, but that sensation evaporates fairly early in KH3. In just the opening 3 hours, our Trinity frequently sits around not knowing what to do.
So the cutscenes in the first 3 hours are boring because characters are wondering what they should do next. How exactly is that a problem? They are setups that are being used for later on in the game. The example you use are Sora not knowing how to get to the other worlds until he learned to use the Keyblade, Sora asking Hercules what he should do, and them discussing how they can help Roxas. These are important moments in the story because the first scene establishes how Sora is able to travel to each world. The second one was Sora trying to figure out how to regain his strength with Hercules' help. And while he didn't get a straight answer, he did mention that he used all his heart to save Meg, which Sora mentions afterwards as well.
Herc said, with all my heart. Okay, then all my heart it is. I'm getting Roxas out.
Which reinstates him believing in his heart to regain his strength. May your heart be your guiding key after all.
Until eventually, they get the genius idea to just believe really, really hard. Yay! Look, I get it. I know. It's always been there. Abstract concepts have been the driving force for a lot of key elements in the Kingdom Hearts mythos. But not only is this routine getting a little bit old by the third numbered game, it's also exaggerated beyond belief. I can get into why this is actually a major problem, but for now I'm gonna leave it at how it destroys the player's investment in watching the story play out. Kingdom Hearts 2 still has the greater amount of cutscenes, but boy does it not feel like it by the end of 3.
Believing in your heart and making connections has always been an important theme throughout every Kingdom Hearts game ever since the first game. If you're playing Kingdom Hearts, you should expect this. If the themes of the story have been about something like this, then you should expect future projects to follow up on those themes as well. Sora and the others literally say stuff like, "My friends are my power," multiple times throughout the series. Why is it suddenly an issue in Kingdom Hearts 3 when that's part of the appeal of the games? If you aren't invested in this theme because you think it's cheesy and dumb, then why are you playing Kingdom Hearts to begin with?
These cutscenes go on for a lifetime. By this point, Sora would be in Wonderland during KH1. Roxas's summer vacation would finally be over. But here it's like 3 hours of nothing happening. The most noteworthy thing in this 2.9 block being that Riku gets a haircut from a heartless tornado.
That's literally not the only noteworthy thing that happens in this cutscene. It also shows that Aqua is no longer at the beach and has fallen into an even deeper abyss. It's impossible for them to go any deeper looking for her because the realm of darkness is a dangerous place, and after fighting the demon tower, it's shown that they're not well equipped, to further emphasize that the realm of darkness is really dangerous. It also shows that Riku Replica has been with Riku all this time. These are setups for later on in the game.
I'm sorry, nothing's really happening in Twilight Town. This is what I'm left with. Like, we access the computer in the old mansion, but then everyone just sits around going, for about 5 minutes, and then we leave.
Again, you're just downplaying what happens in the scene just to make the story look worse. The reason they went to Twilight Town was so they can use the computer to get to the other Twilight Town because Sora wants to recomplete Roxas. They learned that they can't use the transporter anymore, and Yenso linked his computer with the one in Twilight Town so that he can figure out a way to bring Roxas back. Again, this is set up for later on in the game.
Oh, and then Xemnas and Ansem Seeker of Darkness show up to say very mean things to Sora. Oh my god!
Ansem and Xemnas were in an attempt to make Sora give up his heart and open up to darkness to bring Roxas back so that they can use him, which is why they summoned Heartless and Nobodies to fight off Sora.
Still so blind. A nobody is what's left behind when one gives his heart to darkness. There is only one way to bring Roxas back, which is for you to give your heart up as well. Sora, have you finally decided to call upon the darkness?
What?
Go on then. The shadows are never out of reach. Now, set your heart free.
The cheese of this shitburger is that the cutscenes are agonizing to watch. I mean it. Non-stop talking about hearts and friends. We're going to stop the heartless. Wait just a minute. We're going to. What? You're going to? This has never happened before. Yes, we are going to. Because we like friends. We help friends. It's this for the entire world. And maybe this would be fine if it weren't so long.
Non-stop talking about hearts and friends in a Kingdom Hearts game. Also, you're again trying to make the story look worse than it is by being very vague about what actually happens in it. The toys are explaining to Sora that weird stuff has been going on here and all the other toys and people are gone. They are worried about their friends, so of course they want to go out and help Sora, Donald and Goofy because they have been waiting for far too long and nothing happened.
Oh, yeah. So, like, apparently this toy box is a fake world that young Xehanort put everyone into as part of an experiment to determine if objects can have hearts. Okay, that's the dumbest thing I've heard in my life, especially because I'm pretty sure the answer to that very simple scientific question was perfectly clear long ago. So, in the, conclusion to the Dark Seeker saga, Xehanort's basically making it a priority to pull pranks on some random kid and his toys. That's good.
That's not what young Xehanort is doing in Toy Box. The reason he's there is because he wants to experiment on the toys and see what would happen once they've been taken away from their loved ones, because Xemnas is aware that Xion betrayed them in the past due to their bonds with Axel and Roxas. So he wanted to create a hollow puppet that doesn't have any bond because everyone lost their memories of her. It's why Boss has been consumed by darkness, because he was gone from Andy for so long. They already know that puppets can have hearts, but that's not why he's there.
What did you do to him?
I thought I made it clear. I am testing the strength of their bonds. In this world, toys have hearts, and those hearts come from a powerful bond. So what happens when those bonds are stretched to their limit? When they are worlds apart, can cloth and plastic hold on to their hearts? All I needed was a wedge to widen the divide. Someone like you to fill them with distrust and doubt, and that chasm you created can be filled with a vast darkness.
The next point he talks about is the discussion about the Disney worlds and their plot relevance in the story. While yes, this has been the topic surrounding the games a lot, because a lot of it can be considered filler that has nothing to do with the story. While I agree with his point that how well Kingdom Hearts 1 uses the Disney worlds, the one that bothered me was when he compared it to Kingdom Hearts 2.
By Kingdom Hearts 2, things were a little less clear-cut. You were still looking for Riku and Mickey, but you knew they could handle themselves, so it wasn't really a big priority. In a way, it starts out as a juxtaposition to the first game, where Sora's pretty much just chill with showing up to Disney World so he can help out the people who live there, many of whom he's now pretty good friends with.
So, there is no actual reason as to why they're going to the Disney worlds? He goes around Disney worlds and helps people who live there. Isn't that the same exact thing Sora is doing in this game? Heck, I would actually argue that Kingdom Hearts 2 has more filler, because like half the game we're stopping Pete from accomplishing like absolutely nothing, and when we revisit the Disney worlds, we're also just going around helping the people. It has almost nothing to do with the main story. So why is it okay when Kingdom Hearts 2 has Sora go around Disney worlds helping people out, but not Kingdom Hearts 3?
You see, it was kind of apparent from the beginning of the game that our three lads were sort of just going where the wind takes them, gradually learning more about what's going on with the new bad guys. Upon discovering that their campy, episodic journey through Disney worlds was actually helping the organization the whole time, it suddenly gave everything a whole new meaning, a sinister edge and motivation.
Can't this exact same argument be made for Kingdom Hearts 3? We're going where the wind takes them and learn new things in each world and help the organization.
Meanwhile, in 3, the game where there is a dire crisis on our hands from beginning to end, we're sorta just bullshitting around and hoping it accomplishes something. Every 2 worlds, the game will cut to Sora saying that they should go to the realm of darkness and help the people who are actually doing something. Nope, no can do, need the power of waking, next world. Shocker, they don't find the power of waking lying on the ground. Oh well, next world. You can see that the difference this time is that what you're looking for is some stupid thing that'll pop out of thin air and not a person or an object, something you could realistically ask inhabitants about and thus necessitate the presence of worlds for. There are no keyholes to seal, there are no gates to open. This adventure is one big filler episode in a premise that's not very lax.
Every world in Kingdom Hearts 3 has something new that we learn about what the organization is up to. If anything, the Disney worlds have more plot relevance than Kingdom Hearts 2 does. And every time we discover new things, of course Sora wants to go to the realm of darkness as quickly as possible, but can't because he hasn't gotten the power of waking. If he doesn't have the power of waking, he can't go to the realm of darkness, because if something happens to Mickey and Riku's hearts and Sora doesn't have the power of waking, then he can't wake them up. Also, Sora hasn't regained his strength yet, so it would be foolish for him to go to the realm of darkness right away. It was only after Mickey and Riku got into trouble that Sora had to go to the realm of darkness because there was no other choice. Those scenes are there to reinforce that Sora wants to go and help and is upset that he can't because he still hasn't regained all his strength.
The one gripe I have with the Tangled World is that you don't fight Mother Gothel. Sora interacts with her one time and then that's it. Instead, Marluxia shows up to, basically, he's trying to help Mother Gothel get Rapunzel back into her tower so that she is safe to be used as one of the new 7 hearts, a set of princesses who are inheriting the light from those in Kingdom Hearts 1. Essentially, these would be a backup group of 7 lights to clash with the 13 darknesses in the event that Sora fails. I have a few questions about this plan, but I'll hold on to that. So like, Mother Gothel dies the way she does in the movie, right? But then Marluxia comes in and transforms her leftover cloak into a Heartless? Why? Ah yes, let's protect Rapunzel by summoning a giant tree beast. Better that than the evils of a cloak poisoning Rapunzel's light now. Ugh.
He summons the Heartless in an attempt to stop Sora from getting to Rapunzel. The Heartless is not there to kill Rapunzel because Marluxia is the one controlling it.
I know this is probably a random thing to bring up right now, but I just saw this cutscene which I thought was really bad, so... is it just me, or is Sora strikingly less intelligent in this game? Like I mentioned before, that the sheer frequency of people dunking on this boy can get very old and needlessly mean-spirited, but it's almost like they made him dumber to make it seem more appropriate. It's one thing that he doesn't know how to work the gummy phone throughout the game. I'm okay with that because we've already clearly established that this Islander child does not know how to technology. That's fun, that's cute, but what isn't is this part here where he rushes over to a company computer, which by this point he has firmly admitted he can't work, and attempts to use it before Mike and Sully can even take a look at it. Then, despite him usually being the voice of reason in the group, Goofy has a surprisingly stupid idea.
Maybe it would be faster to just break it.
Oh, that's brilliant!
Oh, never mind. Shut me up. Jeez, yeah, let's break this expensive supercomputer owned by these people we just met. The fuck is your problem?
We have been smashing computers throughout the world to shut off the lasers, which has helped them. Sora thinking the same thing would work here isn't so far-fetched. Like you said, Sora doesn't know how computers work.
Sora's kinda just like this throughout the game, and given the fact that I just played it, I can confidently say he wasn't this way in Kingdom Hearts 2. He wasn't like this in Kingdom Hearts 1. Sora was always a young and headstrong fellow, but they've now taken that to mean that he goes, wow, over like everything he sees. What, did he de-age 5 years after Dream Drop Distance? It's a really annoying exaggeration of a character, and obviously his aging voice actor doesn't really help either.
So your example of Sora being dumber in this game is you showing a clip of Sora not knowing what a VR headset is and being surprised to see a virtual Heartless in front of him? That doesn't mean Sora is dumb. Like you said previously, he doesn't know how to use certain technology. A lot of people are always so vague about Sora's character in this game. They always say he's dumb and immature and nerfed, but never actually explain why that is. To me, it seems like it's just because Sora is a happy kid that is amazed by the thing he sees in the game. Like as if we're forgetting that Sora has never been to these worlds and he's a 15-year-old kid that is fascinated by new worlds. So Sora visits these Disney worlds and is amazed by the things that he sees there. How is that a problem? He has always been enthusiastic in seeing other worlds ever since Kingdom Hearts 1. The difference here is that Sora was more concerned looking for Riku and Kairi. He still wowed at some of the things he saw in those two games. It's part of his character. That doesn't mean they de-aged him. Even adults and teens can be wowed by things they've never seen before. I don't agree at all that people call Sora dumb in this game, cause while Sora wows at things, he still takes things seriously and is there to help people out. It has been this way ever since the first game.
Then you have the Kingdom Hearts exclusive stuff, which is really grating. Sora has an insufferable presence in this world. Not just because of the aforementioned long speeches about how good the heart is, but because he's just so excited to be a pirate. I mean, that sounds odd to complain about in a vacuum, but it's a fairly evident example of Sora's Flanderization. In Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora wasn't exactly blown away by the prospect of joining Jack's crew. At most, he was rather amused. The game kind of understood that Sora's been to many places, fought many foes, literally sails the cosmos. It's like this kind of admirable dynamic where Sora, this boy who lived his whole life on an island, is now too cool for the pirate life. Meanwhile in 3, he's like bouncing all over the place. Oh my god, Jack Sparrow, that guy we all love and trust. I want to be like him. I want to have a ship. What?
So it's Flanderization because Sora is excited to be a pirate in this world? Sora was excited to see pirates in Kingdom Hearts 2. The only difference here is that the pirates there were ghost pirates trying to kill us. Jack is the one pirate Sora knows that he can trust. Sora being excited to be a pirate like Jack here isn't out of character for him because he knows Jack Sparrow. Sora is a 15-year-old kid, and there's nothing wrong with having a romanticized view of the pirates, especially since the pirates in this world are honorable and follow a code.
At this rate, it's a wonder that he was able to contain himself while he was a prisoner on Captain Hook's ship at the age of 14. Gee, I'd almost say that the character had more nuance in his debut appearance. Fuck, honestly, the events of Port Royal borderline didn't even happen as far as this game is concerned.
First of all, this is an entirely different world with its own set of rules and isn't the same as the pirates in the Caribbean. Second of all, Captain Hook kidnapped Kari and locked Zora up. Why would he be enthusiastic about the pirates in this universe?
At one point, Luxord shows up and initiates a parley with Jack. If this sounds familiar, it's because this exact thing happened in Kingdom Hearts 2. There, Jack explains to a wary Sora, Donald, and Goofy that a parley is honored as pirate code, so he honors it, only to be tricked by Luxord. In Kingdom Hearts 3, Jack explains to a wary Sora, Donald, and Goofy that a parley is honored as pirate code, so he honors it, only to be tricked by Luxord. Hello?
Yes, Luxord uses parley again to trick Jack, but like you said, they are honorable pirates and stick to the code. If it worked previously, it can work again for Luxord, but this time it was an entirely different scenario, where this time they're doing a race and Jack accidentally tells him where the box is. This isn't the exact same as in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Now, I've heard the argument that every world being a massive time sink is better than having to revisit worlds in Kingdom Hearts 2. And let me just say, I could not disagree more. World revisits may appear to be filler before the world that never was, and it definitely is apparent when you go waste your time in Agrabah, then have a shitty Genie Jafar boss fight. Yet, I would argue that the pros certainly outweigh the cons. Having worlds essentially be segmented into two halves results in a much smoother pace. Aside from, of course, the prologue of the game, you are never stuck in one place for too long. Pride Lands would be insufferable if I were stuck there for almost 2 hours, but thankfully, I am not. So even if I'm not enjoying my time there, I'll be on my merry way before I know it. The other benefit to this approach is that it makes the setting of Kingdom Hearts 2 feel more like an organic JRPG world than a list of levels. These are all places with their own activities going on while Sora's busy elsewhere. So when you return to them, you're checking in on how your friends are holding up. You're seeing how much things have changed in so little time. This is embodied by Hollow Bastion, the big bad dungeon from the first game being rebuilt into the resident Final Fantasy world it once was. This once dangerous place is now like your home base. This is where all the bros are hanging out. You familiarize yourself with the world enough that you care about what's going on there. So when the Battle of 1,000 Heartless occurs, boldly marking the halfway point of your adventure, holy shit, this is a moment for the gamers. 3 doesn't have any of this. There is no Traverse Town, there is no Radiant Garden. Each location is a one-stop shop. It's all about timing and presentation. Because believe it or not, stuff is happening while Sora's on his quest, but you wouldn't be remiss to think otherwise.
While I do understand world revisits seem like a better idea, the issue is the pacing is also drawn out with a lot of these, because a lot of them don't serve the main story at all. I don't really know what he meant when he calls them organic JRPG worlds. It's not like these worlds are side missions you can complete. These are main story paths you have to go through to unlock the final level. I get the idea of revisiting locations you're already familiar with, but the thing is, you complained about the Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3 being filler, yet it's okay when Kingdom Hearts 2 has filler. It doesn't matter if we revisit these worlds to check up on the others, because it's still filler. I know a lot of people want to hype up the middle part of the game, and while it's not a bad section of the game, it's like one out of many of the worlds you visit throughout the game, which has the organization members almost never involved. And each member's goal is just being there to make Heartless that Sora needs to fight, even though Pete was also doing the exact same thing, in comparison to Kingdom Hearts 3, where their objectives take advantage of the movie's elements in every single world.
So I've gone over how in each Disney world the organization has had a member appear to cause trouble. Kinda. That is more or less what's happening, but the actual logic behind it is dubious. You'll have young Xehanort and Dark Riku who basically show up to antagonize people for no reason.
Young Xehanort is in Toy Box because he's testing out the bonds of toys, like I mentioned previously. Dark Riku is in San Francisco because he's testing out if you can recreate a heart using data. Both are done so that they can bring back Shion, and use her as one of the 13 darknesses.
But then there's that business with Marluxia and Larxene. Their goal of finding the new 7 hearts is definitely one of the more productive things the organization is up to, but it's handled so poorly that it blows my mind. Marluxia wants Rapunzel to be protected from the darkness of the world, so he goes out of his way to make sure she's locked up in her tower. But her tower is occupied by someone who he very clearly knows is, bad, very dark, very mean. He is also summoning his legion of heartless and nobodies to this world. So he tells Sora to protect Rapunzel from what he is sending at her, then knocks Sora out once Rapunzel is back home, only to realize that it's probably bad for Rapunzel to be around Mother Gothel's darkness. Does that make any sense? Would it not just be better for him to do nothing at all?
No, he did not know that Mother Gothel was tempted by the darkness when he met her at first. All he knew was that she keeps her locked up in the tower where she's safe. This scene you are showing is after he brought her back to the tower, and second off, Marluxia did not send out Heartless in this world. The organization do not control every Heartless. The Heartless in Kingdom of Corona are not controlled by Marluxia, only the Nobodies. This is why he tells Sora to protect her, and the Nobodies never attacked Rapunzel throughout the game. They were there so they can go look for her. Sora even tells her not to get involved with them.
What is Larxene even doing in Arendelle anyway? Apparently, she's here to follow Elsa around and determine if she's one of the new 7. However, she repeatedly blocks Sora from reaching Elsa, saying that she needs to make the choice between light and darkness herself. Why? Does it really matter if Sora interacts with her? If his presence would accelerate Elsa's connection with light, wouldn't that actually work out better for the organization? What was even the plan here if Sora didn't show up? Just to watch the events of Frozen play out and go, huh, what do you know? I guess both Elsa and Anna are princesses of light. The answer to that question is yes, because that's exactly what happens after Sora was barred from the story.
The reason Larxene is messing with Sora is because she doesn't really care about anything Xehanort is doing. She was only doing it because she wanted to follow Marluxia, like she explained in the Keyblade Graveyard.
Become that geezer's heart tank? No thanks.
Then why help him?
I was really just along for the ride.
With...
My secret.
So she has no problem with just bullshitting around with the characters and telling Sora that he should just let Elsa choose on her own.
Okay, well, now that you know that they're both part of a new 7, it would be wise to kidnap them, right? It's what Maleficent did in Kingdom Hearts 1. No? We're just gonna leave them here and wait for Sora to succeed or fail? Magnificent plan.
Their mission is not to kidnap the Princesses of Light. Their mission is only to look for potential Princesses of Light so that they can use them in case Sora is not able to save Ventus and Aqua. Kidnapping them now would be pointless.
So you have the heroes waddling around, mouth agape, accomplishing nothing, and you have the villains making themselves known as utter buffoons before the final confrontation has even begun.
Close it, quick!
Besides, I've already got all that I want, mate.
It's really funny and memorable. It's even more of that Disney interaction that I want to see, but I would sooner call it misguided.
I think you should have elaborated on this point more because I have no clue what the issue is exactly. Something funny happened to 2 of the organization members. It's not like they're acting like clowns throughout every scene they're in.
Then there's the case of Vexen, who has returned to the organization as a reserved member, only to reveal that he did this so he could betray them, for he wishes to atone. What? How does that work? How do you even go from, I live for research regardless of a cost, to, aw shit, my science hurts people, that's not good.
Nobodies don't have hearts, or at least they didn't know they had hearts. When Vexen became human again, he also regained his heart, meaning he can now feel the shame over what he did. He became determined to atone for his sins and rejoined the organization so that he can finish his research, and he needed all his research so that he can help the heroes and atone. Cyax recruited Vexen to help because he requires the replicas to recomplete Xion and Roxas.
Anyway, yeah, Demyx of all people is here, and before he can even do anything, he is convinced by Vexen to turn good as well. Can I ask, why were these two even invited? Wouldn't the master planner Xehanort have contingencies for this kind of thing? You would think his vessels would share his will, ensuring that they wouldn't turn on him. I was going the entire rest of the game wondering if this was a ploy of some kind, but no, these two just walk on in and provide the good guys with a replica so they can bring Roxas back. Oh my god, what a bunch of idiots.
The reason Demyx and Vexen are here is because Demyx was convinced by Xemnas to help him again, but then they decided to use replicas instead, so Demyx and Vexen got benched in case they would lose one of their 13 darknesses. They also can be a reserve in case Larxene and Marluxia are gonna pull anything again, because those two have betrayed Xemnas in the past, and Vexen was there because he was recruited by Saïx. The reason Vexen and Demyx were able to scheme behind their backs is because Demyx is not only scared of what they would do to him if they stabbed them in the back, so they wouldn't suspect him of anything, but also because they wouldn't suspect anything if they would be working together because they're not friends. Xehanort can't control every single thing the organization is doing, just like how Xemnas couldn't control every single thing the previous organization members are doing. If they betray the organization, they're just gonna execute them.
The true Organization 13 is embarrassingly incompetent. They are a far cry from the original team. That's really saying something when you think about what the original 13 was like. These guys were a bunch of multicolored nutjobs who had very different personalities and motives. This led to a bunch of bickering and internal strife, so it's not really a wonder why they were defeated by two kids. Yet, Xemnas still had a more solid plan than the very team he would become a part of in the future. All the organization had to do in Kingdom Hearts 2 was egg Sora on, causing him to release more hearts and hopefully slip up and die in the process. If his Kingdom Hearts wasn't ruined, Xemnas may have actually won. So in 3, instead of doing the smart thing, which would be to force the Seven Lights to clash with them prematurely, the organization just goofs around and gives Sora plenty of time and even resources to come kick their asses. What a waste.
The organization members in 3 also have different personalities and motives and bicker with each other. The same exact thing applies to this game as well. Not only that, but they went to do their mission in the Disney worlds, so they followed their orders and did exactly what Xehanort wanted them to do, looking for the princesses and do experiments so that they can recreate Xion. What exactly makes them look incompetent? They're following Xehanort because they have their own reasoning and not out of loyalty for Xehanort. They haven't explained everyone's motives yet, but they still have a reason. Also, you're complaining that the organization dicks around until Sora is prepared, but it doesn't work with your previous argument of them clashing prematurely because Sora doesn't have all 7 lights. The organization also hasn't found 7 princesses of light yet, so it would be pointless of them to clash when they don't have 7 lights, which is why they're looking for them around the worlds. And if Sora is unable to find Ventus and Aqua, then they'll be going looking for the princesses. How can Xehanort make his 13 darknesses and 7 light clash prematurely instead of collecting them all once Sora found Ventus and Aqua and gathered them all up so they can go fight the organization together?
As soon as you know it, Sora and Aqua immediately go save Ventus too. I want you to guess. No, Sora finally learns the power of waking here, and I want you to guess how he does. Have you got it yet? Do you know how Sora learns the power of waking? Why? It was within him all along. All he needed to do was believe. All the Disney worlds, all the jokes, all the ingredients, they lead to this.
The reason why Sora believing to unlock the power of waking isn't an issue is because that has been a theme throughout the game. The characters believing with their hearts to save someone they care about. Sora unlocks the power of waking because someone needed it and he called upon it by believing with all his heart. He didn't just believe just because. It was the setup and this is the payoff. Plus Sora had to go to the Disney worlds to regain all his strength, because he lost it after Dream Drop Distance. Sora had the power of waking in him the whole time because he already unlocked the 7 keyholes in Dream Drop Distance. The reason he couldn't use it was because he was corrupted by darkness and it slept within him.
What is the point? Why not just say that Sora delivered Ventus's heart back to his body by coming into direct contact? Does there really need to be this whole pseudo-scientific angle around it? Yes, apparently there does, but we're not there yet.
Because if your heart is sleeping, you can't wake someone up like this without the power of waking. This has been established ever since Dream Drop Distance, that you can't wake someone up just by getting in contact with them. You need to use the power of waking to wake them up.
I am glad we are all getting to know each other in this cutscene right just now instead of during some big adventure. Why the fuck are we even going there tomorrow anyway? The organization's genuinely twiddling their thumbs waiting for us to show up. We could train, we could try to find Roxas, we could maybe rally together our friends from each Disney world, but no. Let's go see Xehanort now! Must have got this idea after visiting the Little Einstein's world. Oh man, I'm starting to meander as much as the game.
Because if they don't, they would go around Disney worlds causing havoc, looking for the 7 princesses.
So yeah, okay. Sora not only is able to resurrect himself from the dead thanks to Kairi's light or whatever, but he also is able to use the power of waking to fly across every world, save every one of his friends, then go back in time to before they ever died. Fuck it, why stop there? Why not have Sora start singing When You Wish Upon a Star with Jiminy Cricket, causing the entire team to float over to Xehanort in a giant bubble of happiness, which then explodes and brings everlasting joy to the universe. The end. Let's continue. Thanks to Sora's... you know what? No, I'm calling him a Gary Stew. Thanks to Sora being a Gary Stew, everyone is right back to the Keyblade Graveyard. I like how they framed this scene as if Kairi just pulled this badass move. Sora looks at her like, oh, that Kairi, thank you for existing. That really pulled me out of a rough spot. You're downplaying what happens during this entire section of the game just to make the story seem worse than it is. The reason Sora stayed intact during all of this is because he has a strong connection to Kairi. Kairi is a princess of heart and she is trying to keep Sora from fading away. This is the reason why he was able to walk around so that he can use the power of waking the way it was never meant to be used. Sora is abusing the power of waking in this section, which was never meant to go and bring dead people back and travel through time. And the only reason it worked was because Kairi was keeping Sora from fading away. That's not Sora being a Gary Stew. The reunions of a Birth by Sleep and 358 trios, in a vacuum, allow me to release dormant emotion. But it's kind of ruined when these feel like obligatory cutscenes that you just had to cram in there and then move on from. Nothing that could have been done about that. Let's rewind a bit here, because the way the 358 trio gets reunited is absolutely stupid. Sora, Kairi, and Axel are fighting Xemnas, Saïx, and Xion. How in the... Oh, I see. It is revealed in Secret Reports number 7 that apparently her design documents still exist, so her body was able to be reconstructed. Okay, but if that's the case, I then ask why memories of her even had to be wiped at all. Just build her again. Doopity-doop, she has her heart, now everyone remembers her again. I guess at that rate though, I just don't think she and Roxas needed to come back. It was kind of a tragic point of her story that they had to cease existing for Sora to reawaken. So anyway, Roxas beams in out of nowhere. He's back. Surprise. I mean, it's fine. We knew this would happen. I like these characters, whatever. But it's so rushed. Roxas's replica body just comes down like he's Thor with Stormbreaker. That's so dumb. If it's this easy for him to come back, then the whole conflict behind this character's existence is ruined. Now, the reason Xion came back is something I've already explained. There's nothing wrong with bringing a character back from the dead if it makes sense. Since Xion is a replica, of course, they could rebuild her again because Vexen had her design document. And while everyone lost their memory of her, she still had a deep bond with Roxas and Axel. It was shown before that Roxas can return his memories of her back in 358. The same thing is happening here with Axel, because he has a strong bond with Xion. Also, the way to get Roxas back wasn't easily done just like that. Yenzo had some of Vexen's research, but he couldn't recreate what Vexen has done because he doesn't have his full research. Vexen and Demyx were able to deliver a replica body to Yenzo, and he put Roxas's data from the other Twilight Town within it. Sora restored his heart,
once he repaired his connection with Shion.
Of course, the Trinity defeats Xehanort with the power of friendship, and it's here where we get a truly special piece of information. Xehanort reveals that he was actually a sympathetic bad guy all along, only doing all of this so that he could reset the universe and create a realm with no darkness. What? Okay, let me tell you why I liked Xehanort and why this reveal is fucking stupid. Okay, let me tell you why I liked Xehanort and why this reveal is fucking stupid. Xehanort has always been a man of unbridled ambition, committing heinous acts of cruelty purely for his own gain, and yes, his idea of greater good. This trait of his would extend to his Heartless and Nobody. I absolutely loved collecting and reading the Ansem reports in Kingdom Hearts 1. It was here where you would discover the motivations of a game's villain, who himself didn't really appear much at all throughout the story. This would then return in 2 to describe the journey of the real Ansem, Ansem the Wise. So these were really fascinating to pick up and read throughout the games because they told you a story about these guys who were clearly a lot older and more knowledgeable than anyone you were hanging out with, right? This story about a man named Xehanort was then the centerpiece of everything going on. So it was kind of cool when you eventually got to see the truth behind his machinations in Birth by Sleep. In the hidden reports of that game, Xehanort wrote to himself, quote, "I believe a balance of light and darkness is what sustains our world, but too much of a darkness has been stamped out, disrupting that balance. Someone must tear down this tyranny of light and reorganize the world around the darkness, which then creeps back in." So what is this bullshit about only using darkness so that he could create a happy land of light? Xehanort's entire conflict with Ericus was that he believed it only disturbed peace for light to eliminate darkness. That was his well-intended motivation, but obviously he took it too far, and eventually he spawned beings that reflected his thirst for both knowledge and control. I kinda thought the point of a story was that both Ericus and Xehanort were wrong, because they tried to force their beliefs upon everyone else. Excellently put by Riku at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2.
I know you want to pretend like you don't care about mistranslations, but like you just showed here, we knew about Xehanort's motivations ever since Birth by Sleep. You should care about the mistranslation because it misinterprets Xehanort's motivation. This isn't a mistake with the actual game per se, it's with the translators making a mistake and mistranslating what Xehanort actually meant, because this is what the original vision of the game was. From what I saw online, the word that was mistranslated was blank, which was changed to bright, which made it seem like Xehanort was on the light side. It's one word that was mistakenly mistranslated, and that's about it from what I know. It's not the Japanese writer's fault that they mistranslated a word from Xehanort's speech. It was the English translators, because that's not what they have originally intended. You simply want to ignore it because it further helps your case in making the game look worse than it is. If you wanted to be mad in this section, then you should have been mad at the translator for misinterpreting his motivation and not act like the game ruined his character. Xehanort's motivation is still intact.
So it really bothers me how they try to frame this ending like, oh, there, Xehanort. You don't have to fight any longer. It's okay. Ericus understands. We understand. No!
Of course Ericus understands because he was his best friend. Heck, he's the only one who understands Xehanort. The others haven't forgiven him at all. They just left this old man to die in peace with his best friends, because again, he might be the only one who understands what Xehanort has been going through. So of course he sympathizes with him. Ericus would have likely wanted everyone to just let him die with him. What's wrong with everyone just letting him die after he admitted defeat?
I like how he recognizes Sora's greatness and passes on the Keyblade to him. This should be a really fulfilling moment. You could even say Sora becoming the true Keyblade master in the end, but it just doesn't feel earned. Sora didn't outsmart Xehanort. Sora isn't stronger than Xehanort. Sora didn't do anything. Sora is literally just a guy with friends. And because Xehanort has no friends that are currently alive, he is free to actually die now. Bye-bye!
What are you even talking about? You're just inventing this narrative that doesn't exist. Sora defeated Xehanort. This isn't meant to show that Sora is some true Keyblade master. This is simply Xehanort admitting defeat and gives the Keyblade to Sora. That's it.
No. I know what to do. Sora! My whole journey began the day I lost her, and every time I find her, she slips away again. I thought we'd finally be together, but she's out there, alone, not for one more second. That's right. Thank you, Donald, Goofy. But this time I have to go alone.
Sora, listen. The power of waking isn't to go chase hearts around.
What? What do you mean it's not for chasing hearts around? I was just doing that for 40 minutes. Although, if Mickey is trying to tell Sora that Kairi should stay dead, then hey, can't argue with the mouse.
The power of waking is meant to traverse hearts to reach worlds, not to go to worlds to reach hearts and restore them. It was a nature taboo that Sora broke multiple times. This is not how the power of waking is meant to be used. The power of waking is meant to be used to awaken sleeping hearts and not bring them back to life. But Sora abused the power and has to pay the price. This is why Sora disappears at the end of the game, because he brought Kairi back to life and broke the rules even further.
Everyone has a happy ending, including Isa, who I guess is good now because we'll take his word for it that he had good intentions the whole time. Look, I'm all for forgiveness, I am. But this dude is literally one of the biggest assholes in the series, and now that we're rolling with the logic of nobody's having a heart and conscience, you can't just say it wasn't really him. It's not even a story of forgiveness, it literally just happens because they're setting up a story. They're just good now, everything's good now.
So they can't forgive Axel's best friend because he used to be an a-hole when he was with the organization? You know, when they didn't know that they have hearts? Isa is literally the one who came up with the plan of bringing Roxas and Xion back to life because he was jealous of Axel and was wishing to atone. Why wouldn't they take his word?
Ah, but there's more. Apparently Xigbar is alive, and he's also Lushu from Kingdom Hearts Key, now summoning the foretellers to present day. The contents of a black box are still not revealed, which means that Maleficent and Pete wandered around doing absolutely nothing at all the whole game. That's right, to all the people who sat through the really boring Kingdom Hearts Key back cover, it was set up for a post-credit scene in Kingdom Hearts 3. Wow. This ending sucks.
The point of this ending is not to reveal what's in the black box yet. While I do agree that Pete and Maleficent were so worthless in this game that do absolutely nothing, the point of this ending was to reveal that Xigbar was Lushu all along and that the foretellers came to the present time. I don't know why you've expected it to be revealed here, when all this is just set up for the next game. Like, of course they're not gonna reveal what's in the box yet, because it's not important to Kingdom Hearts 3's main story. Like, I get Pete and Maleficent were looking for the box and it was such an unnecessary thing, but it wasn't part of the main story.
Instead, you get these battle gates, which you have to go hunt down in every world. Only through doing these do you get these secret reports, which you would normally get in various places throughout 1 and 2. And the majority of them are mobile setup, instead of enlightening pieces about the actual story of the game. Great.
And they're a bad thing how exactly? They provide you with some interesting information not only about some characters' motives, but also entice you for future games. This has always been the thing with the reports. And I think that's all of the points. The rest of the video is a bunch of stuff I have literally no idea what he's talking about anymore. So I can't really answer them, and the rest is just his feelings regarding the game. But you get where I'm going with this. A lot of people have made a lot of bad arguments against the game by either making it look worse than it really is, or just simply misunderstanding what actually happens in it. And obviously Kingdom Hearts 3, like every other Kingdom Hearts game, is not a perfect game. There are some issues with the gameplay and story, and some of the points he made I did agree with, like how awful this cutscene is and how rushed the characters' conclusions feel. Heck, when I first played the game, even I thought similarly to all the people, but that's because I didn't remember certain details from the other games, because admittedly, it's a lot you have to remember, or I wasn't paying attention. But after multiple playthroughs, I have come to appreciate Kingdom Hearts 3 a bit more than I did previously. If you don't like Kingdom Hearts 3, that's fine. But misrepresenting the game and making it look worse than it is? Yeah, no. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video here, and I'll see you in the next one.